putting myself out there has literally allowed us to grow without me having to do that back end, because then people were coming to me saying, I love what you're doing. I would love for you to be on a project. And it was because exactly what I was posting and creating that content online was being delivered.
So Corina, long story short, when we talked initially, you told us a story about how you became LinkedIn famous. So would you mind giving just a little background on that happened? Because so many entrepreneurs are trying to crack the code. It doesn't happen for everybody, but we'd love to learn your experience and how it actually came upon your plate.
So I don't have this extensive background of creating social media content. I always have utilized LinkedIn as a way to kind of initiate a conversation with someone that I wanted to do business with on LinkedIn. And so really all I used it for was I would connect with someone and then send them an email just introducing myself and seeing if they wanted to ever meet for lunch so we could discuss, about them, their business, and then myself and my business. But, here and there I would post, a few things, but nothing of extreme value. It's just, oh, I saw this, I'd like to reshare it. Or maybe here was this company photo and I wanted to share it. And it really wasn't until COVID. And, we started our business August of 2019. My business partner and I were both in our, full-time jobs at this point. And we were not in a position to just, jump over full time. So we started working both jobs, our job and then our business literally at the same exact time. I would, get up, go to work, and then get home between like 3 to 4. And then from 5 to 9, I would be literally networking online and, putting myself out there and grow the business so that we could eventually, move over full time, because we are 100% organically grown. We didn't have a nest egg. We didn't have an investor to be able to catapult this. It was literally just grown by our success and the profits that we were earning from it. So, coming into 2020, that's when we decided to be full time. And in March of 2020, when we all had to have that lockdown, we were kind of like, oh my gosh, what the heck are we going to do? How do I do face-to-face? Like, that's what I know. That's what I do. And that's how I build relationships. And I think it was probably like April of 2020 was when I was like, well, I'm going to have to get online and I'm going to have to do some more putting myself out there and build a presence for my company. And so, I built a LinkedIn, an Instagram, a Facebook page for CPR Construction Cleaning. And you think about it, like, who really wants to follow a construction cleaning company? Like, you're watching somebody clean and it's really, you think about it and you're like, that might not be very exciting. And so I wanted to really define and share with everyone what makes us different, right? So for me, and my concept is always building from the inside out. That's how I share my content, is from the inside out. We're not just showing you what we do, we're showing you why we do it. And so when I started to build this online presence of sharing our content of why we're doing what we're doing, I started to see that people were actually interested. They want to know more. And, the following started to increase. Well, the other thing I know is when you feel like you know that business owner, you feel like you know that business, that they're someone with integrity and honesty and loyalty, and that they really are genuine with what they say. So I wanted people to understand that this is who I am. This is why I care so much. And the only way I was able to do that was by sharing myself personally online. So I didn't initially think that this is what was going to happen, was it was going to end up catapulting into this whole different beast in itself, a good thing. But, it did start creating my own brand presence on LinkedIn. Corina Burton owner of CPR Construction Cleaning, owner of CPR Productions. And I started to realize that the more that I was sharing my experiences, sharing my knowledge, letting people learn who I am as a person, I started to have people come to me. I wasn't having to sell anybody. I've probably had majority of people throughout this last year and a half, probably compared to the first like 4 months, I was, definitely still putting myself out there, reaching out to people, letting people know who I was, through emails and stuff. But really the last year and a half, my content and putting myself out there has literally allowed us to grow without me having to do that back end, because then people were coming to me saying, I love what you're doing. I would love for you to be on a project. And it was because exactly what I was posting and creating that content online was being delivered, right? The people were now saying, I trust Corina. I believe what she's saying. Here's this presence. I want to be able to partner with her. I want her to be, have her company on our jobs. And it was really amazing to see how it transformed in that way. And you're right, not all businesses though understand that. So then when they're posting, they're seeing no traction. They're not seeing any engagement. They're not seeing any business from it. And so they're like, it doesn't work. But once again, it's how are you delivering your message? What is your mission? What is your vision? What's your strategy? Why are you doing what you're doing? And sharing that in a very authentic way, be transparent, be humanizing. For us, we always use actual content. We never stage a photo. Our cleaners are always working. When we do a snapshot, we do a video. So any projects that you see, we are truly on that project at that moment, taking photos of them, like cleaning live at that time. And that was just like our way of being able to share with others. We're not just saying that we work on high rises. Look, we work on high rises. Here's our team. This is what it looks like. And, when it comes to residential or multifamily or commercial properties or, warehouse spaces, we do floors. And it was always translating. This is why we do what we do. So it's always why and then what, because your what will always follow as long as you share your why. But if you just share your why doesn't follow. You have to do that in order to be able to have that better success rate of the content that you're sharing. And it's like, I can say this 100 million times, but I've seen it for myself. We've had a client who they saw what I was creating. They wanted to then do the same thing. And unfortunately, they couldn't see the vision within their own company. And it kind of got to that point where we're looking at them like, we just don't feel like we are going to be the right partnership for you. And they couldn't see how they were going to share their why. They just continue to just want to share their what. Look at what we're building. And it was this continual repetition, and there was not any success rate. So, I highly recommend anybody who's wanting to create successful marketing content is really look at your business, see what your foundation is, build your why and your vision and your strategic strategy on how you're going to be a problem solution for your industry. And then create your content based off of that, because what you do is going to translate in everything you do. So, I'm really grateful, and I feel so blessed by the people who have followed me, because it's not for show. Like, it is 100% authentic. Whatever I'm sharing with you is genuinely who I am. And so for me, sometimes it can affect me emotionally when I see people say things, not very nice things, or, criticize me, because I'm literally bearing it all to the world, because obviously social media can go all across, all continents. So, I've had to learn how to kind of close that emotional part of myself so that I didn't feel affected or impacted by it in a negative way. It was like, this is the bigger vision. This is what your goals are. And so, that for me has been a learning curve because I didn't initially mean for this to happen. It just started organically happening. And I started to have a lot of people start following my content. And then it just kind of has grown from there where, I have, my personal website where people can go to and have the opportunity to have coaching and mentoring through my programs and things like that. But, first and foremost, when you want content, start from your why, and then it will deliver your what if you want to be successful. That is literally the key recipe for success.
I love that.
It's so true. I mean, like the what, like you said, it's like cleaning buildings and cleaning project sites. Like, what do you do? Okay, you clean, but when you show the why behind it, that's where you dive into people's problems they're dealing with, how you're going to be able to impact them, and a lot more. I mean, like, it's so powerful what you just said, and sometimes putting it into practice is a little more challenging, but when you do that, you can also take a look at really what your company's up to, what your mission is, and it can even help you get to know your value proposition better as a company. So looking at that from like an outsider's perspective or like an eagle's eye view from the marketing perspective is really helpful. At least it's been for me and clients I've worked with. So super valuable right there. So I'm actually curious. So a lot of companies are doing a ton of outbound LinkedIn, right? Like messaging people, emailing people, getting their email and sending them emails. It sounds like you were doing that in the beginning and you were getting some traction with it, but now it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, that you're just doing content and you're getting all inbound, or do you still do outbound as a team?
No, so all I do is just my content. And when I do connect with people, sometimes I'm better at, some days than others, but because sometimes I can have like hundreds of invites in one day, or, people following me that I don't even know, because now LinkedIn has that follow button. So you don't even know who's following you. But I realized that what was more impactful than selling my services to people was introducing yourself, saying hello, and thanking them for that connection. And also saying, I hope, and this is me genuinely, I hope that my content and my connection can bring value to you. Because that's the whole purpose of LinkedIn, is that we bring value to each other. I'm here to help you. You're here to help me. We're here to help each other. And so that's literally all I'll say. And I won't leave my phone number. I won't leave an email. I just leave my name. And I've seen so much more success come from that, because it's a genuine connection. It's like, hello, this is who I am. I hope that I can bring value to you. And that's it. And people, I think, feel more like shocked, like, oh my gosh, like I always end up getting a response back being like, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate that. I hope I bring value to you too, and it's really this energy exchange that you can create online, that you feel like maybe that's all you can do in person. Like, it's the only thing you can do in person, but you can actually do it online as well. And it's really how you're delivering your message. And so yes, like initially I utilized LinkedIn as, sending out messages, and literally I had like, this is what we do. This is who we are. Here's all of my services. I'd love to meet with you for lunch, coffee. And I was having success, but I am finding more authentic, genuine, and long-lasting relationships with those by creating this type of content, people then reaching out to me, and then my way of just saying hello and introducing myself and wanting to be someone of value in their life than I was before. And I felt like I had, a lot of success doing outbound messages. So to say that I feel like I'm having more success doing this is like, for me, is like a really big, impactful thing. In less than 2 years, we are now in 6 different markets, right? We started in Arizona, then we went into Utah, California, Colorado, Nevada, Texas, and we are literally actively working in every single state. And it was 100% through LinkedIn. because people would reach out to me and say, hey, I'd love to be able to see if I could get you out into this market. We have these projects going on. And if the project made sense for us on a financial aspect, for us to then create a team and build that, then we would absolutely take on that partnership. And then we would focus on, okay, well, now we have to focus on getting more work so that, it can be sustained and our team can be thriving out there. But every single state that we're in, has been grown through LinkedIn and through people reaching out to me, wanting to create this partnership.
Got it. That's awesome. Yeah. And it kind of it does speak to the fact that you've built a brand authority, or like a trusted authority in your space. I mean, first of all, you have a unique niche that it seems like people haven't taken the, authority role in, and building content and putting themselves out there authentically on LinkedIn, for example, or at least I haven't seen them. So it does go to show what happens when you build a brand and build trust. People just want to do business with you because they trust you, they know you, they like you. My marketing brain in the back of my head is thinking, gosh, I wonder if Corina did outbound marketing on top of her content. I wonder how that would do for her. But I love to hear what you have going on. And the fact that you're doing it with just content is amazing. It really is.
It's very true, because I think about that all the time too, right? Like, I'm one person. And so I have to really put myself into an area where am I receiving most of my work? And we are literally in the stages of like this, we're kind of busting out of our seams, so to speak, in our company, where, we're about to hit we're actually hitting the glass ceiling, and we're going through. So I already have this vision of what it would look like to be able to have people right in the sales team in their right corresponding areas, because I already know what's going to happen is if we're doing amazingly well just doing this, like, just imagine, other people out in the sales field and, out there marketing, and people who are doing outbound messages, and people who are, out at all the association events and things like that. And I'm just like, my mind is blown, and I'm really excited to soon to be getting into that point in our business. But I am just so grateful that I've been able to create what I have the way that I have, because I already know and can foresee, right, that there's still so much more potential that we haven't been able to really dig our hands deep into, because, we're, like I said, for us, we have literally to this point have grown organic. Our success has been based off of our profits and being able to manage everything and grow that way. It's not been through investors or seed money, nothing. It's just been our hard work. So, as we grow and as these things are changing and evolving, then we'll be able to implement more people, instead of it being where I'm working so much in the company. I'm going to be, what is that saying? You want to get to a point where you're not working in the company, you want to work on the business, right? Yep. And as entrepreneurs, we know that we have to be freaking grinding every single day and our nose, to the ground, until you can get to that level where you're working on the business, not so deep embedded in the business. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely does. So the thing is, you don't want to scale so fast you break. If you do that, there's issues that come along with that as well. And the good thing is you're focusing on client treatment of the client, right? Like doing right by your client in the beginning. You're building an amazing brand. So when you go to scale, it's going to make all that much more sense. But it's a good thing for a lot of people not to scale before before you're ready. Because there's a saying, it's like, if you think of a company that goes up really fast, they typically go down really fast as well. And it's not every company, but it's just like sometimes happens with companies who try and scale too fast because they get hit with a million problems that are too complex or expensive to deal with to serve their clients, and then things just crumble.
Absolutely. Yes, I know. And that's the thing that we had learned throughout this time is like people would fair warn us about that. And for us, like our business plan, though, is so solidified in the way that we have the ability to have very initially when we go into a market, we have very little liability. And, we can start off really, really organic and very green. And so if it doesn't work out, it's really not going to impact us in this really difficult way. But that's why we've really only surrounded ourselves. Like we've had people from New York all the way down to Florida, like the whole East Coast, every state that aligns on that East Coast. We have had people who have offered us, over $1 million worth of work. And we've had to decline it because we don't have that capability of being able to create that work partnership and this platform that would be where we wouldn't be investing so much. And so we already know, look, we already know where we can, but we're working towards that, right? Our goal is to eventually be so solidified that we can take on this project. And we have, we don't have to say no. We understand and can scale our business in a safe way, right? Like there's always going to be risks and trials and challenges and tribulations, but probably the one thing that we've seen that is the most difficult is cash flow, right? And it really has to do with how quickly is your GCs going to pay you, and you essentially have to be your own bank. So you have to be smart about what you're doing so that your cash flow doesn't run out. And you may have all these opportunities, but if the cash isn't there, your business is going to fail, right? You're not thinking like, oh, well, I got to hurry and sell. Like that really doesn't solve the problem. It's the cash flow. So yes, that's been our learning thing. And so that's kind of where we were like, okay, we can only handle what we handle right now, but we're so close to having that basically scale up where we are going to be in various states on the East Coast because of LinkedIn and our content.
Love it. So I guess on that note, what has been the most challenging part in growing your company so far?
It would be absolutely cash flow. That is probably the most difficult thing. So in the construction industry, when it comes to labor, we are very, very heavy labor, right? So we can have up to 20 people on a job site, 10 to 20 people working 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And and this could last for months on end. And if the GC is not wanting to pay until the very end of the project or wanting to pay every 3 months or every 6 months, that is the difficulty, right? Because like I said, for us, we're organically grown and we have various jobs going on a day in all the states that we are working in. Well, so if you're thinking we're holding the cash flow and paying our team, but this company hasn't paid us and we're doing it like 10 times every single day. So that means we're this bank. And that has probably been like the one thing that I didn't even think about, this being a hardship. Like my fear was always like, are we gonna have enough work? Is work gonna be there? And that's really never been the issue. The issue has been to see that society has almost created itself as the American dream essentially could be dead because of the way payment terms are. So, somebody who's like, oh, I have this dream, I want to be able to start a business. Either they require a lot of money up front to create this business, and banks don't want to loan you because we're not 3 years in business. And then you have to decide, am I going to do a hard money loan, which is always very scary situation when you're a new business. And sorry, I totally lost my train of thought, but essentially when it comes to the cash flow and companies being successful today, you think about people back in the early 1900s who came to this country, and they literally came with nothing, right? No money, no nothing. And they were able to scale a tiny business into this enterprise. And you think about how that is today, and that's almost dead because of the financial aspect of it, because of the demands or the inability to have a bank trust you and have these things. And that for me is really actually very heartbreaking for other people who want to become entrepreneurs and scale themselves organically without having to say, here's my idea, let me sell it to an investor and right away have investments. So yeah, to answer, that would be the most, I mean, that has been the most difficult thing, not finding cleaners, not finding people for our team dynamics, employment, nothing like that for me has like obtaining work. None of that's been stressful. It's just cash flow and having contractors pay you on time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And for entrepreneurs, it's like, look how you were working a job while you were building your company in the beginning, and your co-founder was building a job when you were working in the beginning. So like that drive is sometimes what it takes. And like you said, I mean, it's tough. It is tough, but you did what it took. So respect. But with that said, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going through a situation where they maybe for whatever reason just don't have the capital or the funds, and it's tough. So good point, definitely. But it's also kudos to you for the success you've seen in the face of it, right?
Thank you. Yes. I mean, yes. We all have like these really difficult moments, right? And sometimes you're just like, it can get to like, you feel scared and stuff, but it's all about perspective. It's all about just being grateful for everything you have. And then that gratitude turns into blessings. So, for me, it's all about perspective and how you look at it.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And it's really interesting, back to your topic of, what you were talking about with, trying to get people paid, especially with the pandemic and everything going on. Now that you have, more and more employees coming on, you need to make sure these people are getting paid on time. Because that's like one of the most important things in their mind, right? Is they got to feed their families. So these are things that, are very interesting and hurdles that we all have to try to deal with. But kind of touching on that aspect of projects and more on your labor and your employees, when you get a bid on, a large project that requires a lot of labor, how do you go about bringing in the right talent for that? What does that look like for you?
So honestly, and this may not be a very exciting answer, but we have been truly, truly blessed that we've just had such a great team. My business partner has been in the cleaning industry for about 17 years. And so he has a really strong background with a lot of people in that industry. When you're pulling from like cleaning labor, even though we consider, construction cleaning is nothing like janitorial, right? That is just completely night and day. And that's why we created this specialized cleaning service, but you're still pulling from the same labor, right? And then you train them how to do things on a construction cleaning site. And when you're employed by a construction cleaning, that's all you do. So you're not going to forget. That's what you do, Monday through Friday for eight hours a day.
Right.
But, we have been really blessed where we've not had an issue when it comes to labor. And I would say in almost all of the states that we're in, the only time we've ever faced a struggle with labor has been in Utah. I don't know why it's been more of a difficult situation, but once again, how we do it is we really connect with kind of the labor pool, who's out there. Our director of operations, she's amazing. And she also has a really strong background with, this dynamics. And so she's able to kind of go back to who she knows and then kind of pull labor from there. And, we do not ever hire out, right? So we don't do temp labor. You are a part of our team. We don't do hourly. And for us, the reason why we do that is because for us, construction cleaning is something where you have to be able to understand and know how to do on a daily basis. It can be very confusing and very stressful when it comes to managing a crew and having these dynamics, especially on these large projects, and especially with like a data center cleaning. to be able to have people who go on this job site and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're just going to get a bunch of this like cleaning around and I don't know what I'm doing and people need to manage. So for us to have like a team that's solidified in-house, it's one of our strengths for us. So, but I apologize because that's probably, you guys do temp labor, right? Is that what you do?
Actually, not really.
Not a ton. I reached out to
cut this part out.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We do mostly direct hire. So we're a direct hire agency.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Then I could see it being like that versus temp labor. For us, we don't use temp labor. We want people like to hire people on our team. But we have just been fortunate to kind of be able to pull from people that we already have relationships with in the industry to be able to hire, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And that's really unique. I wouldn't have thought that Utah would be a place that would be tough to find labor, but
I know.
Interesting. I mean, that's all about getting into new markets and learning about new markets for you all though over there. And, you touched on really briefly about the training and having to train these people up. Because, they're typically, or at least it seems like they're kind of coming from more of a janitorial background. I mean, you're training them up to have more of the finer skills to what you provide.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that, especially since, you're in so many different locations?
So we have amazing director of operations on every team. And then with that, then we have team leads and supervisors. And we also have quality control managers in every state that we're in. So that's the beautiful part is that, if by chance someone on our team really isn't doing an exceptional job that's going to be, representing what we say we are and our quality of clean, we always have a quality control manager come on site to verify that it is clean to our expectations. And if not, then that's a really great teaching moment to say, hey, we appreciate what you did, but let's also remember to not forget to do these steps as well, right? So it's always just hands-on, it's learning and having them really understand and adopt what CPR construction cleaning is and what we do and what that looks like. So there's always someone there on our team to ensure that the quality is there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure you're probably looking for some specific qualities or attributes in these people, because they might not exactly have the right background and technical skills necessarily that you're looking for. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for specific attributes and characteristics in those people?
So anyone who has strong leadership, because they need to be able to lead themselves, right? And taking direction. So once the team lead gives the cleaner a direction, this is what you need to do, they then need to be able to execute that. So you need to be able to follow direction really well. You need to be able to lead yourself and make safe decisions because you are on a construction site. So, we want to make sure that everyone has safety first in their mind. And then being able to have like attention to detail. It's amazing because I'm going to use my children as an example, but like their attention to detail is completely different than my attention to detail. And you realize though, that like everyone has that same perspective. It's someone's attention to detail will be completely different. So it's really finding the people who understand that and then have the ability to execute that continuously. It's not just, oh yeah, you did great one time, but then this time you're not doing so great. It's going to be this reoccurring thing that you're doing that is consistent, right?
Right.
That would be the top things that we look for.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, yeah, you want to have someone who, can follow directions, but at the same time, at least with us, we like to have people who can think on their feet and, be leaders. And because if you have someone who's just, taking orders or following directions all the time, then they're not really using their mind and they're not using their expertise and their experience of what they learned previously. They're just hoping that you have it figured out. And, you probably do, but we always want those people who are, like you said, can provide
Yeah. And just because you're not a team lead doesn't mean that you are not the leader of your life and your direction, right? So you need to be able to be self-motivating and executing what you need to get done, and instead of having someone like follow behind you and kind of harping. Because really what happens is, the team lead says, if there's 5 people, will say, you need to do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And then everyone kind of goes off and disperses and does what they're supposed to do. Right. And so, you really have to be responsible and to be able to be your own leader when you go and you do what you're supposed to be doing.
Definitely. No,
we basically refer to that as our employees or anyone we recruit showing up with batteries charged. Basically what that means is just showing up, like basically able to, like you said, self-motivate, coach, make decisions on your own. Because if you're not able to, the problem with that is, number one, you're not going to be able to be the best at your job. But number two, you're going to put pressure on people above you who are in the management positions, who you're asking them questions. For example, I hate when people ask me questions that they could Google in 5 seconds. It's like you basically asked me to go and do the job of Googling for you, So people who are self-sufficient actually take pressure off leadership a lot of times and make their life easier.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's true because people who are like, okay, now tell me what I should do. Now tell me next. Now tell me next. Then you find that the leader then is all they're doing is just delegating instead of, being a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Delegating and almost doing it alongside them as well, which is not very effective delegation.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah. So I'd like to shift gears a little bit here. So being that you're a mother of daughters, you came up as a single mother, and you're a female in a male-dominated construction industry. Would you mind kind of just shedding some light on how it's been for you and what your experience has been like dealing in an industry that's basically about 9% women?
I know, right? So there's 9% in the industry, 1% is actually out in the field. And this, the construction industry as a whole is pretty massive, because you think of, for us, we're a vendor for a construction company, and how many vendors are there? And then you think about how many women are actually, in the plumbing, electrical, drywall, framing, painting world. I feel like I know more women who work in construction GC environment rather than an industry like mine. There's very, very few, and then very few women out in the field, hands-on doing the work. So, initially it was a little bit, difficult. I'm not going to lie and paint this picture. It was a little bit hard at first to gain the respect that I deserved. And I could have either shied away from that and say, this is too difficult. I feel uncomfortable. Instead, I decided to, make my presence known in a very, strong way of somebody who's educated, somebody who's strong, someone who's very well versed and understands the industry and understands what she's talking about and how she can be somebody facilitating of problems that they're facing, and how can I help you, make this a much easier process for you. So, throughout the years, it took me probably about a year for me to finally feel like I had my feet underneath me. I think the most difficult thing is that there's a lot of amazing male figures in the industry that are very supportive of women, and they want to see the growth. And I love, this is something that I actually share online quite a bit, and I hope I don't become long-winded about this, but I absolutely love the dynamics of male and female, masculinity and femininity. And I believe that everyone has different roles. And it's really not designated. I'm a woman, that means I stay home. No. A man can stay home and take care of the kids, and the woman can go out and work. For me, it's just different roles that you feel like is going to be best applied for your life. But there's always going to be masculinity and femininity in life. And I love it being something that works together symbiotically because it creates really beautiful synergy. And so, to recognize the fact that construction has very few women means that the construction industry isn't where it should be, because if there were more women, then there would be a really beautiful change and a really beautiful dynamic that would be able to blend with the male dominated industry. We'd be able to bring maybe more of a creative space and empathy and emotions. And emotions are not a bad thing. Emotions are a really beautiful thing. We're able to, understand people and understand hardships instead of like pushing things down in a way when it comes to mental health or struggles or difficulties. And so for me to be able to say like women should be in the construction industry doesn't mean that I don't care about the, men in the construction industry. It's that I want there to be a more equal base, right? Because I don't look at myself and say, I'm a female entrepreneur. I look at myself and I'm an entrepreneur. I am my skills, not because I'm a woman, but because I'm Corina, right? But at the same time, you realize if there is an industry that has more women versus men and more men versus women, I definitely feel like, there should be, and if that particular gender, right? If females want to become, I get messages all the time about women wanting to get in the construction industry and they're scared. Literally, like some women say to me, I'm nervous to get into the construction industry. Please give me your advice. And I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart that they would even have this feeling of fear because of this concept of a masculinity and, them not being able to be who their true self is. And when you have change in an industry that's been the same for, who knows, 100 years where we're focused. Hundreds of years, obviously there's been construction, but, you think about the 1900s when we're really building up everything and creating these companies and, work, women are now going into the work field more. I'm just thinking like, it's difficult for change. So, even for myself, I've experienced backlash from some people who are not supportive of that change. And for me, when I talk about that, it almost is a threat for them and it's scary. And none of that, like a woman and a man, they should always have equal opportunity, right? We all bring different talents and abilities, but a man should never have more opportunity than a woman, and a woman should never have more opportunity than a man. And I think like our talent should be able to speak for itself just based off of our talents. And so trying to be able to explain that and bring that out to the forefront has been one of my missions of like being out on, social media. But, there are times and there have been times where, I haven't had the respect that I deserved and, comments being made or, people just focusing on what I look like versus the skill set that I have. And, it doesn't matter what industry you face, you're always going to have difficulties. And so for me, it's easy to kind of just be like, I'm putting that aside because my focus is to be somebody who is a disruptor in the industry. And I'm going to help catapult other women to feel comfortable being in a male dominated industry. And one of these days, we're not even going to talk about being a male dominated industry. There's going to be women and men. And it's going to be a really beautiful change and a beautiful dynamic. And we're going to look back and be like, wow, I can't believe we did that we once were, just majority men.
Right. No, you hit the nail on the head. And please, whatever you do not stop what you're doing because, I really think, and I'm sure Matt can attest to this too. Women definitely need to be represented more in construction, not only because, like you said, they offer completely different perspective of what a man can, but construction alone in just this industry, it's an old boys club. It's all men. It's all, like try to be super masculine men and all that stuff. So I can definitely see where it's threatening for a lot of women coming into the industry. So to have a voice like you to be able to tell those people and show those people that, hey, it's not all like this. I know this is like maybe some of the videos you see online or whatever. I always see videos of like people making fun of women on like TikToks and stuff, and it's in construction, and it's really hard to see because I'm sure that's discouraging, and it's really awesome. But I really think that there is going to be a transition in construction. It's already happening. I'm not saying it should or is going to. It is happening, especially with the pandemic. And you highlighted and talked about, emotions and culture. And those are some of the things that I think specifically this pandemic has sped up a lot of employees thinking about, and companies as well. Employees are thinking about their mental health and their emotions a lot more when they go into the workplace. And so it's companies have to react to that, and having companies like yours who are able to do that and work well and show in the rest of the industry that it's something that is beneficial to have women in their companies. I can't say enough about it.
It's all about balance. You think about it, like life in general it feels the best when it's balanced. And even in construction, it's not balanced. And I think a few months ago, I posted an article about how there are a significant number of men in this was during mental health awareness in construction, because there are a significant number of men who struggle with mental health and suicide in construction. And I feel like a large part of it has to do with how we are constantly trying to say, like, you have to be strong. And it's not about becoming weak. It's about saying it's okay that I'm not feeling well and I need to get help, or I need to talk to someone. And when you're constantly surrounded by the same, mentality where be strong, suck it up, be a man, I just feel like it puts a lot of fear, and it also allows people to feel like there's something wrong with them and they can't emotionally share their feelings. And that's where, I feel like that feminism, that feminine, like feeling and that emotional aspect helps kind of bring this like balance naturally. It's not like people are talking about it or, crying at their desk. It's just something that happens naturally. And that's why, there are these balances of feminism and masculinity. Like for me, this may sound funny, but like for me, like I love my husband being a very masculine person, right? But at the same time, our roles look different. Like he still like cooks and cleans and does the dishes and like does all these things and picks up the kids. And I created a business. So it's interesting how like our perspective and how we look at things are not this whole like old school thinking. It's really just two emotional factors of being masculinity and feminism, and it's blending the two and and allowing it to complement each other so that it brings the best out in us as individuals. And in construction, it's been good old boys club forever, and things haven't changed very much. I do agree with you, like things are changing, and I definitely see that we're not going to go back. We're definitely going to continue to pioneer this. But it hasn't been an easy road. And I think that many men would actually really feel like a fresh of breath air having this kind of change, even if they don't realize it today.
I agree.
For me, it goes back to like just pressure creates diamonds at the end of the day, because like what happens, the way I see it is like the industry, if let's just say construction companies during the pandemic, a lot of them struggled. Like a lot of them had their flaws exposed because tough times hit. And then like maybe a flaw that they were able to be comfortable with for a long time, such as not having the right type of leadership to help their employees, or not having, enough balance in their team to get the outcome that they want, right? Because sometimes having that rah leadership, it's beneficial for some type of people, but the balance, like you said, in life is huge. So it seems like, the pandemic has been like a pressure creating diamonds type of situation, exposing people who might not have been on top of the game or doing things that could have helped take their company to the next level. And really, people with the cream of the crop like you have been able to go from, zero in the middle of the pandemic to $1 million first year to 3 to 5 million second year. And cheers to that. A lot of people just dream about that. So Really awesome to have you on, Corina. You've been an absolute rock star on this, and I'm sure people in the construction industry are going to play this back 4 and 5 times because you've just been dropping absolute gold on here. So thank you. But really, just like, let's spotlight you. What are your future plans? If you are okay with disclosing this, is there any initiatives or projects you have coming up, or really just anything else you want to highlight?
I mean, I'm really excited about in the next few months, we'll definitely be growing out to the East Coast for CPR Construction Cleaning. So that's one thing that I'm very, very excited for. This is something that I know we haven't been in big business that long, but we've had quite a few people want us to go out to that side of the country, and now it's actually going to be coming to fruition. So that's really exciting. I'm really also excited. I've had a lot of people almost towards the beginning of me, putting myself out there on LinkedIn, asking if I would do coaching, any mentorship to help them with either, your mindset, or how to build a business, or how to create content authentically. And recently, probably within this last month, we finally, my team has created with me a coaching program, depending on, where you're at and what you're looking for and how to help transform yourself into your goals. So that's really exciting. And you can find that at my website, CorinaBurton.com. So, and then we are launching our podcast, The Authentic Entrepreneur, which I will be hosting in September. So I'm very excited for that because, then I get to have you guys on and we can talk about all this.
Love it.
But, so it's really exciting because it's really going to be able to feature people who are real, working hard every day, and the nitty gritty of it all, right? Like we always see people in their yachts and their jet planes, and really, how did they get there? I want people to see what it's really like, and then to have that hope at the end, because you see that shining star of like, look, this person struggled and failed and struggled and failed, and then look at them now today, and this is how they did it. So I really hope that, my podcast will bring that type of value for people who are, wanting to break out and fulfill their dreams.
Well, I think we both have some stories for you, I think, when that time comes.
Yeah, that's massive right there. The whole like selling the dream thing, it's just so tough for an entrepreneur who doesn't know what they're getting into in the very beginning, because they're expecting some glamorous get rich quick scheme, because that's all they see online. And it's like, okay, I got hit with this setback, this setback, this setback. And you're 2 years later and you're like, okay, I expected this day one, I'm done. And the timeline is different for everybody, but it's just like having that expectation of quick wins instead of putting in the work and really building value for the marketplace. So you can go out there and build a company predicated on value are two totally different things. And, that's unique. First of all, it's great to show that, like the actual behind the scenes of it. So pump for your podcast, pump for your expansion. You're the right person in our opinion to be doing this. You're doing amazing things, and clearly look at you. You're authentic. You're crushing it. You're driven. You're impact driven. So I've really enjoyed getting to know you better on here today, Corina. Thank you so much again for being on.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you. You guys have been awesome. And I obviously wish you guys the best of luck and all your success. You guys are doing amazing. And I was, very impressed with what you're doing. And I love, being able to meet other people in the industry who are thinking outside the box and how to create solutions for problems. So cheers to you guys.
Hey, amen. Thank you so much. So, Corina, our audience is going to want to get to know you. They're going to want to reach out to you. So where do they find you?
So you can find me on my LinkedIn, Corina Burton. You can also find me on my website, CorinaBurton.com, on my Instagram, Corina Burton, all the places. And if you are interested in my, in construction cleaning, you can find us at CPRclean.com. I feel like that's all the platforms I have at this
the program. Is there a website for the program or just hit you up on LinkedIn?
We haven't established that yet. We're still like on the finishing lines for the podcast. So I don't have all those complete details quite yet.
No problem. So keep it top of mind, people. Corina will be having a coaching program and a podcast launching. So just keep that top of mind.
Also, if you want to keep up onto dates, then just go onto my website and submit for the newsletters, because the newsletters is going to just keep you up to date on what's going on. So at least you'll have a heads up.
Love it. Well, like I said, you've been an absolute gem here today. So much value dropped. The transparency was awesome. And, everyone's going to be grateful for it who tunes into this. And if they're not, I don't know what they're looking for. So thank you again so much, Corina. I really appreciate you. And
Yeah, thank you both.
It was fantastic.
Thank you.
You're all, and cut.
Yeah.